I'm a big fan of Leonardo DiCaprio.
That was the best acting I've ever seen in my whole life.
I think that he's part of an exceptionally small pool of actors that have mastered the craft of performance, but I think there's something that DiCaprio does better than perhaps anyone else. Playing characters who themselves are playing roles. Now, on the surface, it's a simple enough concept, but executing it well is no small feat. If you look back at DiCaprio's career, this is actually something he's been excelling at for quite some time, from the conman antics of Catch Me If You Can, to playing an undercover cop in The Departed, or even his role as Amsterdam in Gangs of New York. All of these characters have something hiding beneath the surface.
I'm going fucking nuts, man. I can't be someone else every fucking day.
But my favorite example of this in DiCaprio's extensive repertoire is his role as Jay Gatsby. Perhaps because Gatsby's duality is directly representative of the film's overarching themes, or maybe it's just because of how much DiCaprio carries the movie with his performance. Regardless, today I want to take a look at one conversation from this movie. Specifically, I want to examine how DiCaprio acts the scene, how he elevates every line of dialogue to a magnetic level.
Oh yes, I understand that you went to Oxford.
Well, yes, I went there.
Okay, so the background to this scene is that Jay Gatsby is madly in love with Daisy Buchanan and has been for about 5 years. The problem is, she's married to Tom Buchanan, a domineering husband who was born into extreme wealth. Gatsby and Daisy have decided to tell Tom about their affair during an outing that gradually deteriorates into a volcanic confrontation.
Mr. Gatsby, I understand that you're an Oxford man.
Well, yes, I went there.
Sure. I'd like to know when.
Up until this point, Tom has been making euphemistic remarks about Gatsby, but this is his first overt attack on his character.
You'd like to know when?
After repeating the question with incredulity, DiCaprio lets the silence hold for just over 12 seconds, allowing the weight of the question to linger heavily above every other character.
It was 1919. I only stayed there 5 months. That's why I can't exactly call myself an Oxford man. You see, it was an opportunity they gave to some of us officers who fought in the war.
What's impressive here, and we'll see it again later in this scene, is the way DiCaprio uses tempo to break down his dialogue and load it with subtext. This part, for example, is sped through until a pause after Oxford man, placing an emphasis on Tom's own words to ridicule him.
I understand that you're an Oxford man.
An Oxford man.
The following line is equally tumbled through, almost comically so, until a breath after us officers, the repetition of the word who and those final 4 words, which, coupled with eye contact and an increase in volume, function as an accusation.
You see, it was an opportunity they gave to some of us officers who fought in the war.
Alongside this, DiCaprio literally raises his glass and points at Tom, which drives home what he's insinuating. Love that.
I want to ask Mr. Gatsby one more question.
Oh, please go on, Mr. Buchanan, go on.
What kind of a row are you trying to cause in my house anyhow? I suppose the latest thing is to sit back and let Mr. Nobody from nowhere make love to your wife.
This is the first insult that actually reaches Gatsby, but we only see a glimpse of his reaction, an introspective nod that quickly turns to restrained anger, a motion that repeats itself a couple seconds later. From a director's standpoint, hiding Gatsby's full reaction is a smart choice. It allows the scene's tension to escalate with Gatsby's internal struggle rather than compete with it. It also makes the shock of this interjection all the more powerful.
Your wife doesn't love you.
So Pandora is out of the box. What now? Well, in the dialogue that follows, Gatsby exposes his and Daisy's secret, a moment that has been building since the film's open 96 minutes ago.
You must be crazy.
No, old sport. No, you see, she only married you because I was poor and she was tired of waiting. It was a terrible, terrible mistake, but in her heart, she never loved anyone but me.
So how do we get from this level of confidence to this level of uncontrollable rage? Well, for the remainder of this scene, Gatsby is progressively picked apart with truths that clash with the image he has built for himself, causing him to completely unravel. First comes a sense of frustration and annoyance when Tom refuses to believe what Gatsby has said to be true, but then desperation, doubt, and confusion as Daisy herself is unable to admit that she never loved Tom.
You want too much. I did love him once, but I loved you too.
DiCaprio plays this rug pull cleverly, cycling through various shades of confusion as his control over the scene slips away. This lack of control causes his first outburst.
Yeah, I'm gonna take better care of you from now on.
You're not taking care of Daisy anymore.
It's interesting that DiCaprio turns his back to the camera for this, as Gatsby's image is composed, but effectively that means Tom's retort is overwhelming and pulls him back into the argument against his will.
Yeah, I'm gonna take better care of you from now on.
You're not taking care of Daisy anymore. She's leaving you.
Nonsense!
I am, though!
No, she is not leaving me for a common swindler like you.
When Tom calls Gatsby's character into question, the whole dynamic of the scene changes. DiCaprio flips through a handful of emotions in quick succession before moving away from Daisy, using space to reflect that this argument is now solely between him and Tom. However, the water's just starting to simmer. His facade immediately comes back up, but it feels like an act for which the foundations are quickly cracking. His smiles and confidence flip-flop with jaw-clenched anger and aggression. Next, Tom calls Gatsby's friendship with Nick into question, and finally, Gatsby's status, his identity, and his upbringing.
Daisy, can't you see who this guy is?
The beauty in DiCaprio's performance here is truly in the details, the way he slightly tilts his head or sips his drink much quicker than before. DiCaprio even uses his breathing to communicate that frustration, that realization that his anger is becoming unstoppable, until finally,
It's in our blood. I'll dream up. You ever take that? A girl like this. You shut up! Shut up! You shut up! Shut up!
Now, obviously, the trembling cheeks, the contorted face, and the violence of his reaction are all just chef's kiss. But what I love the most is the realization that comes afterwards. The eyes that gradually shift from anger to horror to fear, and the fragile recomposition of his character. And as his eyes shift from Tom to Daisy, there's a desperation that sets in, a panic to regain his footing once again in Daisy's eyes, but with every word, she draws further and further away. You know, the first time I saw this scene, it struck me just how vital DiCaprio's performance was for the success of this movie. Gatsby's a complex character with humble beginnings who's built this idealized version of himself with the sole purpose of regaining Daisy's love, but despite his best efforts, he can't really do away with his true self. Focusing on his character and his internal struggles expands the film's scope and strengthens its criticism of social class in America. Of course, the narrative also does this, from the dichotomy between the Valley of Ashes and the parties to the in-your-face dialogue, but Gatsby, and thus DiCaprio's magnetic performance, is what carries the film's message. That's what a great performance can do. It can give a scene, a line, or even a word a compelling energy that pulls us in hypnotically. And that's something I believe deserves to be celebrated.
I'm Gatsby.
Hey guys, first off, of course, thank you for watching the video and making it this far. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. DiCaprio's been a favorite of mine ever since I saw Catch Me If You Can when I was like 12 or 13, so this was absolutely a blast. Anyway, if you want to let me know what you'd like to see me cover next, just leave a comment below. I'm always reading those, open to suggestions. I'm sure you noticed by now that I read and try to reply to every comment, so yeah, don't be shy. Anyway, thanks for watching once again, and I will see you next time. Ciao.